everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Blindside Podcast. Tis I, your host, Blind Metal Gamer, along with the gorgeous, beautiful, and vivacious Kaira Super Saiyan. What's up, Kaira?
Hey, Blind. Good to see you. Good to be back. Hope you enjoyed summer. And to kick off summer, let me just say happy birthday to you, happy birthday to me, because we both had birthdays very recently.
Yes, we did, and today, in this episode of the Blindside Podcast, we will be discussing musical adventures.
And I'm going to kick it off with something connected to what I just said.
Go away, take it away.
All right. So, for y'all who don't know, I was born on August 1st. And August 1st was the birthday of the legendary Jerry Garcia, lead singer of the Grateful Dead. And so, of course, my Aunt Sabrina, the biggest deadhead in history, in my book anyway, took advantage of this and groomed me into a deadhead since I was in diapers, starting with Jerry Garcia's children's folklore albums and gradually increasing. And to me, listening to the Dead at 18, and now in my 30s, and I'm not saying where in my 30s, fuck off, dudes. I listen to the Dead quite a bit, usually at the doctor's office to calm my nerves, and I have impressed quite a few people with my musical taste, including one of my doctors, and no, I will not tell you which doctor it was, you pervert.
All right. I'm gonna go and follow that with my musical adventures beginning. Now, as you all know, I went to a school for the blind in our state. Now, my musical adventures are a bit different because at this particular school, again, you would live on campus if you were a resident and you were far away from the school's area. So for me, I began my musical adventures by learning the violin, and I was taught classical pieces. But when I wasn't doing that, I was singing in the school chorus. And then, if I wasn't doing that, when it came to listening to music, I would start off, and this is going to freak everybody out. I started off when I was a younger blind metal gamer, listening to Southern Gospel. You heard that right.
Oh boy, I'm familiar
Yes.
with Southern gospel too. My parents, especially my dad's side of the family, they're one side of the family's from the northern part of our state, the other side from the very western side of our state, deep towards the southern part of the country. So I completely understand Southern gospel, bluegrass, but surprisingly, I grew up with 80s and with 70s and 80s rock and roll and pop when I wasn't listening to, of course, children's music like Tom Chapin. Did you ever listen to Tom Chapin? Do you remember Tom Chapin?
No, but you mentioned classic rock. I grew up on that too.
Yeah,
But the reason why I referred to the Southern Gospel start is because my musical journey is kind of odd. I started off with Southern Gospel, then I moved on to country, but there was a theme here. The theme was there was no, I'll just call it colorful, lyrics or language in the music. Because my upbringing was a very strict upbringing. Now, when I got older, I explored the classic rock, Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, but I didn't really know who they were till I was older. So, Kyra, do you have any stories about when you maybe started buying albums or CDs? What was your first CD experience?
My first CD experience was either Britney Spears or Backstreet Boys. By the time I was in middle school, my sister had burned quite a few rock and emo rock and pop rock albums onto my Xbox, and some of the video games we had, you could customize a soundtrack in game. So I spent a lot of times playing video games with Maroon 5, Songs About Jane. Oh my god, that album. I love that album. Sorry, had to say that. Or Green Day playing on the Xbox, and I didn't know what the fuck I was listening to until I got in the middle of high school, and I'm like, oh, so that's what that shit is. But by that point, it had already influenced my musical taste quite a bit.
Okay, so for me, my first CD experience was again classic rock. By this time, I had left the country and southern gospel phases long behind
Oh yeah,
me. I was done with that. I was over it. Done. So I wanted to something a little bit heavier. So my family introduced me to the Eagles, Bob Seger, and so I got an Aerosmith. So I got some of that for my as part of my first CD experience for one of my birthdays when I was, of course, being brought up. Now we're gonna fast forward a little bit to the adolescent years. Again, I was still at the school, the blind school in my state, and I wanted
yeah.
something edgier than classic rock. I was kind of getting bored with the classic rock pieces and all of that. I wanted to discover something harder, something that would feed my angst, as they would say.
Brace
And
yourselves, y'all, because this is where the interesting side of Blind comes out.
now this is going to come as a shock. Well, probably not to many, but when I discovered Metallica back in the mid '90s, that's when it did it. The Black Album was the first Metallica album I ever owned. Proudly owned all of their studio albums.
Yeah.
Then I discovered bands like Alice in Chains, Godsmack, Disturbed. I discovered, again, I kind of rediscovered Judas Priest and Black Sabbath. So I kind of figured out, okay, this is who they are. And then, you know, eventually I left that particular school
Mm-hmm.
and discovered even more bands because there was a guy that I went to school with who was a guitarist, and he introduced me to bands like Puddle of Mud and to some of the earlier Judas Priest albums. And when I discovered it was the Demolition album by Judas Priest and the Jugulator album with the legendary great Tim Ripper Owens on vocals,
Yeah.
it was like, oh my god! And then it wanted me to kind of go back and revisit the older albums with Rob Halford on vocals. Which, by the way, Rob Halford is an amazing vocalist, does a great job, and just a quick little plug: the new album Invincible Shield is great.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now, I've got to interject for 1 second. I got to embarrass you and let the fans know this little fun fact. Blind and I met online on online dating, and we tried hard for about what you think, a month? Does that sound right?
I think we tried to see if there would be a chemistry, but I think the
And
metal kind of dissolved it.
oh, you think he tried so hard to get me into metal? Some music like Iced Earth and more the rock opera sounding metal groups he got me into, but most of it's too boom, 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 and screamo for my
Type music, yeah.
exactly. It's just his what I consider to be hard rock, and no, it's just too drastically different. I love good rock and roll. Like, I love some Journey, AC/DC, 80s rock bands that came and went, but his taste, we just were not compatible. And I tried, and I tried, and I tried, and I finally sat him down and I said, look, I like you. I will always be your friend, but the metal is a deal breaker for me.
Yeah, Kaira just it didn't, But anyway, so I discovered other bands. Then I discovered this band that Rip Rollins had left Judas Priest, right? So where's he gonna
Right.
end up? Because Rob had gotten back with him. He's in Iced Earth. Oh, who are Iced Earth? I look into them. They're doing this was in my early 20s. So I love history, right? That's one of my favorite subjects. When
Yeah,
I
I've
found
always
out
liked history too.
that their album, The Glorious Burden, was going to be a history album, and it was going to have Ripper on vocals. Sign me up, baby.
You
That's when
may
I
have to
discovered
send
Iced
that
Earth.
one my way because you know I'm a history buff.
I will send you that. Hey, I'll send you that. Hey, I'll hook you up. And then I discovered Iced Earth's backlog, and I'm like, oh, this is cool.
And Ice Earth is one of the artists that you got me into. They are pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, they are. And then when I discovered that, I'm like, I wonder what other musical trip things are there as far as that genre. So I discovered bands like Primal Fear, Avantasia, Edguy,
Avantasia is good. I remember liking them. That was another one I remember liking.
and then Pyramaze, Firewind, which, by the way, the new Firewind album, Stand United, is awesome as all hell. If you
Yeah.
haven't grabbed it, go get it. Then, bands like Disturbed and Five Finger Death, there's all these great bands. Five Finger Death Punch.
And now you need to tell them that even you have your limits, though. Make sure you communicate that.
Now, let me tell you something real quick. Even I do have limits as far as metal. Yeah, I like my metal, but as far as like death metal, Norwegian black metal, black and death metal, bands like Goat Horror, Cannibal Corpse, I don't go that way because it's
Yeah, and
for me.
I did have to listen to some Swedish death metal for an art project. Oh my god, that was torture. I hated Swedish death metal so much.
Oh boy. So, okay, Kyra, do you have any stories of other like genres of music of like how maybe
I
you know
actually do.
any
When
concerts
I
you went
went
to?
Oh yeah, I have a little bit I have a little bit of a rant to go on. So, when I was 8, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And so one thing that gave me the focus was a Mozart CD. I got into classical music because of Mozart. I would steal my dad's Beethoven tapes and listen to them. I actually got to listen to Beethoven's Symphony Number 9 because my dad had it on cassette. And if you all don't know that, please listen to it. Beethoven recorded that completely deaf, and it was his greatest masterpiece in history.
Yeah, epic. And did you all know, Kyra? That's an interesting segue. I
But
mentioned. I men-
okay, but I'm not. But let me get into the one last detail before we segue. We'll come back to that.
all right.
Um, and then, of course, at the holidays, I always like Christmas music. But you know what really spoke to me every Christmas and blind? We've discussed this in personal conversation before.
What's that?
T TSO, Trans Siberian Orchestra. Oh,
Yes.
okay, so one year, not too long ago, actually, about 2 years ago, I got the chance to to get tickets to TSO, real cheap too, good
Mhm.
tickets,
Mhm.
and I went. Oh my god, that was so fucking epic! If y'all ever get the chance to go see TSO in concert, go! It is a rock opera merged with Christmas music. It is a love letter to the holidays. All right, we were talking about Beethoven's Symphony Number 9. I am sorry I had to interrupt you. I just had to
Hey,
talk about TSO for a second.
so with as you all know, I mentioned earlier that I went to a residential blind school, and there I was taught the violin. So, which of course these days I don't play. Blind can't play violin worth a crap now, but um,
I can't play a musical instrument either. I couldn't even play the recorder.
so you mentioned classical. Did you know that a lot of the bands that I mentioned, Iced Earth, um, and all of that, have used orchestras? The
Yes, I
Gettysburg
actually.
1863 trilogy has a full-blown orchestra in it, and then let's see some
Yes,
of the
I
other
actually
bands.
did. We've discussed that in personal conversation before, actually.
Let's see, Epica, Camelot. There's some of the other good power metal bands and symphonic metal bands to check out.
And you'd be surprised at how many rock artists incorporate some kind of orchestra
Oh
to
yeah.
strike. In fact, it just and I took a film scoring class and I had to learn the musical history of a lot of soundtracks. You'd be surprised at how many
Hmm.
genres, how many projects. It Orchestra music is everywhere. You don't think about it until you're actually learning about it.
Right. Um, it's amazing. So,
Yes, it is.
okay, we were talking about concerts. I have a couple of concert stories to share in
Okay.
this musical adventure. My first concert, Blind Metal Gamer's first concert, was Kid Rock and Tenacious D in 2002, and
Oh, good
I'm,
lord.
I'm thinking, I know, right? I'm thinking this was back when he was doing rock and rap type
Oh
music.
God, rap. Sorry.
So I'm thinking, yeah, well, Kid Rock was popular back in that day. So I'm like, yeah, I get to go to a concert. So me and a couple of family members hopped in the car. We went out to grab a bite. We headed up the road to where the concert was going to be in
Mhm.
another town in our state, and we went and we had a good time. And so the concert was great. We loved it. So it came time to buy a souvenir. Okay, get a
Yeah.
T-shirt. Okay, so I wanted one that I could get and wear maybe to school because at this time I was out of that blind school and I was in a public school. So I
Yeah.
thought, get a T-shirt. So we found one for me that just said Kid Rock on it with red, white, and blue
Mhm.
on the front. Well, we did not realize something till it was too late. We bought the shirt. We're out in the parking lot, right? We get it out and we're looking at the back, okay?
Uh-oh.
And the back had a red, white, and blue middle finger sticking up. I'm like,
Oh,
oh fuck.
fucking hell.
I'm like, oh, son of a bitch. I cannot wear this to school. I didn't say that, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking it. Okay, I'm like, oh god, I can't wear this to school because they had a real strict dress code.
Oh, I remember. I went to that school.
You had to. It was like you could have like branded clothing, but if it had like WWE or like any vulgarity or vulgar imagery, and
Yeah.
yes, that particular image on the back of this shirt would have fit the vulgar imagery category, your boy would have gotten in trouble. So
You would have gotten a D-hole or an extended detention or maybe
yeah,
in school suspension. One of those three.
and believe me, Blind Metal Gamer wanted none of them. So
No.
none of them. So when I got home, I had some family up. So one of them thought that they were dreaming that I had this particular shirt. So I got it out the next day after I woke up from sleeping in because I arrived back home late and I was hyped up, and I showed them and they were all freaking out. And the
Yeah.
decision was made I would only wear that shirt as a what I call a lazy shirt, which
Yeah.
means if I wasn't going to do nothing, just a lay around, be lazy type shirt, a kickback shirt. Okay, now the next concert memory I have and story I have takes place 2 years later, 2004. By this time, Blind Metal Gamer was at I'll just say a facility for learning how to live in a sighted world, similar to the blind school, but you're learning, how to be quote unquote sighted or typically developing. And Metallica was in town. Oh God, I've got to see Metallica. That's off my bucket list, right?
Right.
So me and a fellow person from this place went to this concert, and I was a person going there. So we went, had a hell of a time. It was Metallica and Godsmack on the Saint Anger tour. I'm sure you all
Yeah.
remember that. Good concert, good stuff. And yes, at both concerts, your boy Blind wore earplugs. Now, this time I didn't buy any shirt because I didn't want to chance any type of inappropriate imagery because at this facility, you had to be extra careful as far as what you wore because, I didn't want to chance anything. I didn't want to
Yeah,
piss anyone off, okay?
that's completely understandable.
So we just went, did the concert, went back to the place. I got up the next day and did my thing, and everyone was like, "Oh, how was it? Oh, it was cool." So, Kyra, Do you have any stories about any of your favorite musicians or anyone like that suddenly passing away on us unexpectedly due to unexpected events that would
Um,
affect your musical tastes?
well, maybe I don't remember any of them unexpectedly passing away off the top of my head. Oh, you know what? Actually, there's one artist in particular I was really fond of. She would go on tour with someone I went to my first concert with.
Hmm.
Toby Mac, which a lot of y'all won't know because he's a Christian rapper, would often tour with Mandisa.
Oh
Mandisa.
yes.
Mandisa was like the ultimate pop gospel singer. She passed away unexpectedly. But we talked about Jerry Garcia earlier. Jerry Garcia died when I was small. So getting to honor his legacy every year, just by being born is pretty fucking epic if you ask me. Now, honestly, my first concert, and don't judge me because I'm not one of those, was Taylor Swift when she got really big. It was her 1989 tour.
Oh
And
God, Taylor
uh,
Swift.
I'm not that kind of Swifty. I'm a casual Swifty, I swear. And it was pretty awesome. I distinctly remember she had these wristbands that you put on. And my cousin is the biggest fucking Swifty on the planet. She goes to all the concerts, goes to the same renditions of the concerts multiple times. And so I text her, and she's not even out of high school yet because this was
Hmm.
the 1989 tour. And I'm
Right,
like,
right, right.
these wristbands. And she's like, oh, they light up. They're to help you. They're to help Taylor keep up with her fans. It's in the concert,
What the fuck?
no, it's really cool though. It's a fan interaction thing. I thought it was pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Interesting.
And
And,
she's like,
and hmm.
wait a minute, are you at her concert right now? But I
Oh man.
thought that was a really fun time. Now, obviously, I think Taylor Swift has evolved a lot since then and is a bit overhyped. But at the time, it was my first major concert. I loved it so much. And to even be able to get tickets was pretty fucking epic. But no, do not judge me because I am not one of those Swifties that has to go to every concert or anything. I listen to her very, very casually. And there are other artists I would pick over Taylor Swift. Let me just make that fucking clear.
All right. Now we've just is all right. So next, I think we should talk about we've talked about our first concerts, albums, artists. Is there any type of particular bucket list concert that you would like to see? For me, it would be Iced Earth, Judas Priest. Um, if I could do it, if they would be on the same billing, Blind Guardian. My God, they're epic. Primal Fear would be another one. What about you, as far as bucket list concerts?
Maroon 5 would be totally fucking awesome to go see every time I get a chance. They're either too far away or too expensive. I'd love to go back to TSO. Unfortunately, they didn't come to our area last Christmas for the first time in over 20 years, and that felt like a smack on the fucking face.
Oh my God.
Sorry.
Oh shit. Hey, maybe this Christmas, you know?
I hope so. I've got their email list. I'm gonna keep an eye out. Um, Katy Perry would be another. Yes, I'm one of those. Not as big as I used to be, but I like her. Yeah, I'd like to see some of the classic rock bands. bands if they ever come and do a farewell tour, or just do a tour in our area.
Would be cool.
The Dead. I'd love to come see the Dead if they ever came to our area. My Aunt Sabrina has been to more Grateful Dead concerts than anyone I know. See the Dead. I want to experience it. That's the one thing as a Deadhead I haven't done.
You know, it's weird you mention that because as an Iced Earth fan, as a Judas Priest fan, I want to see them live.
I know,
I've
right?
got I've got a friend who is in an Iced Earth tribute band. If you haven't, they're pretty cool. But if I could see them Iced Earth live, I would. Oh my God, I would love that. So,
Yeah.
okay, real quick to kind of wrap our podcast up. Do you have any closing thoughts of anything you would like to say before we wrap up?
What I will say is your music taste is going to evolve as you get older. When I
Yes.
was a kid, I was heavy into pop, and that's all I ever wanted. As I got older, I discovered I like 70s and 80s music. I like I like older pop, not modern stuff. I like pop rock music. Some metal, not much metal, blind. Wipe that smirk off your face, you fucking bastard.
Ha ha!
I've found that I will listen to just about everything with the exception of probably 3 or 4 genres. Um, you know, and I surprise myself. I like some of certain genres, but not all. When I was in college, I discovered I liked R&B, which is so weird to me. I never saw myself as an R&B person. But you know what? I like it. It's really cool. And just what you hear around you as you grow up will really influence your music taste. My music tastes are evolved around what my parents and sister exposed me to. And I love that because that shaped me as who I am. And my Aunt Sabrina exposing me to the Dead, encouraging me to listen to it, hey, it's pretty fucking cool because I'm introducing a new generation to some of the best easy listening music in history. You just and my dad got me into classical. You never know what you're going to be into until you try it.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely, and I would like to say yeah, try if you have an experience with music, try it because I would say something. Again, I discussed Kid Rock earlier. I had a family member who got into the rap genre pretty
Oh,
hardcore sometime. I was like, oh God, oh God, I'm gonna have to try that now. Oh God, they're gonna force me into it. And sure enough, I had to listen. I had to listen to it, although I didn't like it. That was the one, as I call the bitter tasting musical experience I didn't like. When you need a palate cleanser, after listening to that, I would
hey,
go and listen to some music that would be a palate
hey,
cleanser
I
like
get it. I've never been into rap music either. I completely understand.
I mean, so, but you like what you like, and I respect. So, I'm in it with this. I respect all genres of music. I may not be a fan of all genres, but I respect music as a whole because these artists, no matter what genre, they work their asses off to make good music in their respective genres. And, if you like it, go out and buy it. Use like Spotify or YouTube to gauge interest in, okay, hey, I like such and such or so and so. I'll
Oh
buy
yeah,
so and
for
so's album.
sure.
Won't be riddled.
I really recommend YouTube in particular for listening to stuff because if you are able to see a music video can tell
Mhm.
a story behind the lyrics
Oh,
and
yeah.
it shapes your perception of the music. If you can't see, pay attention to the lyrics if you can.
Yeah. From the blind perspective. Yeah, if you can't see the video itself, just listen to
Pay
the
attention
music.
to the lyrics. You
And
would
if
be
you like
very
it,
you'd be very surprised at the stories that are told through a song. They don't always mean what you think they do.
right, you have to really think about it and listen. Now, really quickly, I do want to say before we wrap up, for those of you listening on Spotify and YouTube, feel free to comment. And we will get back with you as far as comments. Also, really quickly, I would like to give a shout out to Flute Player 86 on YouTube. If you haven't checked her out, go check her out. She's pretty cool. She does flute playing, she does martial arts, and she demonstrates her audio Star Wars figurines, which are pretty cool. So, Kyra, do you have anything you want to say real quick before we sign off?
I'm just gonna reiterate, give someone's musical preferences a chance before
Yes,
you hate on them, because your taste in music and their taste in music could always surprise you. You may think you don't like it, but you could determine, hey, I like this shit.
exactly. So, with that being said, for Kyra Super Saiyan, I've been your host, Blind Metal Gamer, saying so long, everyone.
And I'm Kara Super Saiyan saying, stay golden, y'all.